Well, good evening in the United States of America, and good morning in the wonderful, beautiful land of the Philippines. My name is Charles C. Gaines, and I'm here with my counterpart, Steve Norris, whose middle initial I don't know, nor does it even really matter. But um, man, it's good to see you, buddy. How you feeling? I know that you're getting settled in your new digs. You had some power issues the last couple of nights, but seems to be at least on the mend.
We got the UPS on the fiber connection, so we should be powered up. So even if the light goes out, we will still be going.
You look good. You look good. I mean, I like the wallpaper you got back there. Kind of it's part of the look. I mean, I like it.
You know, the green screen got a little crinkled during the packing and moving process, but we'll work out the kinks.
All right, that's all right. It's all right. Well, listen, tonight we're going to be talking about Facebook Messenger, Facebook in general, but specifically about Facebook Messenger and the power of Facebook Messenger. What does that mean to the average business out there? Is it just for soccer moms to talk to each other? How are businesses getting the most out of Facebook as it relates to their marketing budget and that type of thing? And so I'm looking forward to this discussion tonight. Talking with you about that. Steve, you've got an extensive background in search engine optimization, among other things. And I know you spent a great deal of time building traffic and getting leads to your clients over the years. And I'd be curious, before we dive too far into this, maybe you give us a 60,000 foot view of, where we are now in terms of trying to get traffic and get attention. Where's kind of the state of SEO? And then as that relates to that, what are the expectations maybe are some of your clients, and then most importantly, the customers of these clients that we're trying to reach? Talk to me a little bit about, from your perspective, how you're able to get attention, and then how that works, as it relates to social media and then ultimately Facebook in general. But you had some interesting thoughts you were sharing with me the other day.
Yeah, the whole market has shifted, but you have basically two tech giants who control most of your advertising. So Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp. You've got Google that also owns YouTube. As far as traffic, those are two major driving engines of traffic, and the amount of information they have harvested off of us is it's absurd. It's a little concerning. But it's for an advertiser, it's actually very effective, because the detail at which we can target an audience is really, really good right now. Based on IP address, based on location, circumference, radius, that type of thing, you can target an area, you can target an age group, you can target an income level, you can target behavior patterns, and really focus after people that really fit what you're after. Now, for the first several years of this migration taking place, Facebook was just a non-factor, especially for a lot of businesses. They're just kind of going, we don't really do business with social media. Well, that's become something people used to say, because it really does affect a lot of small, medium businesses now. And part of that is your reviews. People go online to check out your reviews. It's not just the Yelp or Google reviews. They're looking at Facebook. And when you can be connected to your community and you get feedback from people that it's huge. But what's happened is over time, we've had this shift of this instantaneous expectation of response. And so where social media has come in is you get instant news. There's times I could get news faster on Twitter than I could on the news station. That's a fundamental change that's happened. So from an advertising perspective, or getting the word out and it going viral, social media plays a huge presence. So now we've got the ability to reach people immediately, but there's also this microwave mentality that we have. We've been so spoiled by the Amazons of the world. I can order it today and I get free shipping tomorrow, that literally with any other business, our patience level is so low that if I contact you and I don't even want to call you, I just want to chat, I just want to click on the chat, and I want you to be available now. Some of the features that we're going to talk about today, like with Facebook, the Messenger bot, is you have the ability to have an instantaneous conversation, giving people exactly what they want to know by understanding their patterns, their questions, and leading them down the road for the solution they're looking for, and automate it with follow-up. Right. So it's huge. So it's for the businesses that have not taken advantage of social media marketing. They need to look to see if their counterparts are taking advantage of that, because there's a good chance they're getting some really good market share. It's very cost-effective advertising done right, and it's a different audience maybe than your typical search engine. They both have their place, but it's very effective.
Absolutely. I think it's important that we say that this is not an evolution that is putting some of these other platforms out of business or on the wayside. This is as you're looking at your ability to draw an audience, your ability to engage the customers, and as you mentioned before, kind of those granular targeted groups. How do you do it as there's more and more avenues and channels? Should I hear people sponsoring podcasts, and I hear people, they're putting ads on Facebook, and then they got ads. All I really do is Google my business, or, what do I need to know? What do I need to know about what's happening next? And I think one of the things that you said that's so important, and that is the instantaneous or microwave nature of communication. So what I think you're talking about as it relates to our everyday life is how much we rely on texting specifically, and that DM, the direct message, that you want something, and now we're almost kind of getting spoiled, where it being so amazing that you can just go to Google and Google anything. And that's not talking about replacing that. What we're talking about is think about how you do your life with your circle. You have your circle, and they're easily accessible, and all those threads are on your texts. And if you're like me, you keep those texts as reference. Oh, we talk about that. Oh, he gave me that picture before, that address. And heaven forbid you get a new phone and you lose some of that stuff, or somehow you lose it. There's a lot in those texts. I'd like to see them make it a lot easier to be able to archive those texts, because they can be very important. And just those expectations of, hey, I need to check in with my wife to find out what time I'm supposed to be there, or what are we going to do, or what about this? What we're seeing is more and more of a relationship from consumer to businesses. They would love, under the right circumstances, to be able to have that conduit to ask those questions when they need those answers. And what's going to happen, and what is happening, is your competitors are having that kind of access. You first started seeing it on these websites with just a little chat, and so whether or not, you have somebody at your office that is receiving, that little chat window on the website during the day, but then after hours, it just goes nowhere, or whether you contact somebody in the Philippines or in India and they're doing it, and then you're like, what are they saying, and how's that going? To what we're seeing a lot more now is more artificial intelligence and these bots. And they come in all sizes and shapes, as you can imagine. One size doesn't fit all. We can talk a little bit about that later. But what we're talking about in essence is being able to connect with people using their device of choice at the time and place when they need it. And that's when you're going to be able to create that connection and ultimately get that sale. So before I go any further, Steve, I want you to kind of comment as a business owner yourself, and talking with your clients and some of the clients we have. What is their first reaction when we share that to them? When they give us that look that they're glazed over, first of all, because once again, there's way too many apps and there's way too many things to deal with. But now you're telling me I have to do something else. And how in the world can I afford to have somebody 24/7, sitting on Facebook? And where would I find that person?
Right. Well, a little bit of background. When I moved out here to the Philippines, I was here for a year initially, and I got a bicycle. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to bike everywhere and figure out. I needed a bicycle shop in order to do some repairs or get some parts. I literally couldn't find anything. In the U.S., what we had before was we had the Yellow Pages. You get the big fat book that nobody uses anymore. It was a high chair booster seat for a while, and then they just disappeared, right? Because it's so it can get outdated very, very quickly. Here, they don't have that either. They don't have a yellowpages.com. There wasn't a business directory listing. Literally everything is on Facebook. I believe the Philippines is the #1 Facebook using country in the world. I think they're the highest number of texts in the world. And so it was very interesting to exit the U.S. at a particular time, come here and experience that, and go back and be aware of how much more that was trending in the U.S. than previous. So the response from customers is, like a lot of things with being a business owner, I'm really good at this. I'm my niche happens to be more in construction, and the guys who are really good at what they do is it's a trade. They're going, I'm a fantastic electrician. I'm fantastic at this niche, or I do this type of service. Do I have to really learn another software? Do I have to, I don't even want to be on social media. And the reality is a lot of the business owners that we deal with who have established, got several $1 million a year businesses, they're not as active in social media as the younger generation. But as that generation becomes of age for becoming, strong with purchasing power, you've got to address their needs and how they're choosing to do it. We've adapted because we need to. So literally last night I was watching something TikTok as I was falling asleep, and I saw a little glimpse of something about software. Immediately go to Google, pull it up. I can find videos about it. I can find this about it. And everyone's used to being. I've got the encyclopedia set at my fingertips online to look up at any particular moment, and that expectation is just there. And so this new generation, it's the view of education is totally different. I don't have to learn and retain everything when I can go find it when I need it. And that's fantastic. So the initial reaction of business owners is I see where things are going. I might not be there myself, but I am embracing the fact that I do need to change with the things. Tell me more. How do we do this? Well, that's where we bring in the software, like we talked about last week with the social pilot, kind of going, hey, the Hootsuites of the world, post in all these places very efficiently at once. Program your stuff ahead of time. Do this to be more efficient, and then teach me your business. What are the questions you get asked all the time? What is the need of the customer? What is it they need to hear from you? You're the best at what you do. You're your number one salesperson as a small business owner, and you start to leverage yourself out, train other people to duplicate yourself. What is it you're hearing from the customer, and how can we make that a very predictable conversation and get them what they need quickly? That makes people super, super happy, because when I want information, I want it now. And that's just the reality, and our consumers are the exact same way. So those who can provide that will get the business first.
Absolutely. So after that initial shock of you're telling me there's something else that I need to be aware of and I need to be active, we try to work with our customers to tell them there are ways that you can get in that pond and really make some serious headway and get some serious, really qualified leads. There's several ways to do it, but you've got to work through the power of automation. Unless you've got somebody, or you got a Facebook, early on when it came around and you got super high in the rankings, all that stuff. Even then, if you don't feed the beast, it will die. And so it is a living, breathing organism, even much more so than your website. You're going to have to really, check it daily and continue to feed content in it. So I would highly recommend you consider somebody. There are some highly qualified firms out there that specialize in helping you with your content and using some of the tools that Steve mentioned, where you can schedule out content, you can pre-program it. So there is some automation there. And you can sit down with somebody for a certain amount of money per week or per month and say, okay, I need to get some feedback. And I think you can get in a situation like that, a retainer situation, where someone can help you with the content. What I think we want to focus on a little bit more at our firm, and we want to talk a little bit about tonight, is that's what can automation do to help me? I don't understand bots. The concept that I've heard of them are negative. I don't want people to get spammed. I don't want them to feel like I'm chasing them around, with a death robot. And it just seems very cold and impersonal. So I'm not interested in that. And quite frankly, I'm there with you. I really resonate with, personal interaction and video and talking on the phone and meeting in person. But because of the nature of Facebook and the data that's being churned by the nanosecond, you're going to need something else to help duplicate yourself. It's kind of like Steve was talking about. To allow you to do what you do best, you're going to need some tools. And I think one of these, we've gotten to the point now where automation in these areas, I think, is very, very legitimate. I mean, there are a lot of times now where you'll go on a website and you'll see down in the corner, hey, can I help you with something? That's not a live body there. Or you're pretty sure.
Right.
Depends on how sophisticated the AI is. But let me ask you this. Do you really care at that moment as long as you get the answer you need ASAP? You're going to take a chance. You're going to go down there and go, okay, all I need is this. How many times have you just said, all I need is this? And if you can go down there and there's an intelligent automation that can help you find it, you don't have a problem with that. So what we're going to talk to you about is how to take specifically Messenger. And I want to kind of lay a foundation of how significant Messenger is. It really, quite frankly, blew me away. Full disclosure, I have not to date been a big Facebook guy personally, partially because, I spent the last 2 decades on the computer, either coding or designing. And the last thing I wanted to do when I came home was get online and start posting things on Facebook. And hey, here's what I ate and here's where I went and all this kind of stuff. But as a marketer, you cannot deny the power of the numbers. There's just no way you can just say that's just for, stay-at-home moms, and that's. We'll get into some of the power of that in a moment. Do you want to say anything about that, Steve?
Even with some of the current censorship issues that we experienced during this last election and follow up to that, even if you feel very uncomfortable with that, to your point, there's an element to the marketing that cannot be dismissed as far as the audience that you're reaching. So you may not be a fan personally and want to use it personally, but it's that's where your customers are at. And the numbers were staggering. You shared with me the numbers as we were starting to look into this platform, and it's ridiculous. And you had me thinking of, a version of the chat in the corner. Like you say, if it goes well and you get the answer that you want, you're so happy. It's instantaneous gratification. But if it's not, it's poorly designed, or the AI is not developed, or they didn't think of your question, it's really frustrating. You just want to get a hold of somebody. So, we've got a web host we've used for years, and when you can get the answer quickly with someone live, that's great. But if they're not online and they try to send you to their knowledge base and they just start guessing and go, here's 100 articles that may address your concern, you're like, that's not what I wanted. My service is down. I needed something now. I equate that to the version of the phone system of, press 1 for this, press 2 for this. What do you call that?
Auto attendant. The auto attendant.
Okay, we call that auto attendant hell, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
I mean, how many of us have been on auto attendant yelling into the phone, I said this, and you're just like, I just want we've been trained to kind of go, I want a live person, because that's where I get my answer. I can express my frustrations, my concern, and I have somebody reacted to what I'm actually saying. And it was so frustrating, the initial generations of that auto attendant hell, because it really was. It just didn't address what we needed. It was very, very frustrating. But their business case for doing it was very understandable. So the next generation of what you're getting into is, yes, there's AI that's available, but there's also the ability to lead the conversation very specifically and target. When you have targeted customers so specifically that you know what they want, they know what your offer is, and you can basically ask yes or no questions, that solves so much. Right. And it makes it actually a very enjoyable, very intuitive experience. So I'll send it back to you.
What I did there a minute ago, I went ahead and pulled up. I thought maybe the best way to dive into kind of the power behind this is to pull up that initial proposal that we put together, that we used kind of as an icebreaker and to help answer some questions. But I really thought this would be just a great way for you to start to wrap your mind around. Again, there's Facebook, and then there's Facebook Messenger. It used to be you'd DM somebody or direct message somebody out of Facebook. And recently, they have broken that off into its own corporation. It's gotten to be so big, to the tune of 10 billion messages a month between businesses and consumers. I mean, let that sink in a little bit. That's not just, mom to mom, kid to kid. This is between businesses right now. And so it is a legitimate, viable business tool. These are the things that just blow me away. Again, coming from traditional advertising, print advertising, television advertising, and then even email, which email is not dead. we can talk a little bit more about that. It's still a huge piece of the pie, but it has its place in the entire funnel of sales. And so when you've got an open rate of pushing 90%, and these are numbers that we've experienced ourselves, it just blows email out of the water. I mean, even the best emails are 20%, 15%. The average is 13%. And what's happening is it's because it's coming directly to you. Well, you say an email does the same thing, but not in that format. Not while you're on Facebook in a social media platform that is coming to you one-on-one. Okay, so right now, for the foreseeable future, these are the numbers, and as marketers, we cannot deny them. And so once somebody gets that, you got that 80-90% open rate, then they don't just drop off. You're talking about 60 to 80% response. They're actually engaging with you. And so it's nuts. The numbers are 10, 14x. And so you just cannot minimize enough. The words fail me at the moment, but minimize the power of those kind of numbers. And so then if you layer on top of that, the ability to funnel down and really hone in on specific niches, because they're covering, I've got another document, if in a minute, if I can find it, I'll try to pull it up, but it shows you literally all the divisions, the categories, how they break things down. And so the different ways you can go in and say, I mean, it's more than just area, zip code, female, male. We think about it. It's everything that we're putting in on the front end. It's all that information of, well, I'm into this and I went to this school and I lived here and I'm married to this person. And by the way, I love this. And so the power of all of that is at your fingertips when you're engaged in Facebook Messenger. Now, there are a few rules, and so that can be where it can be really tricky. And so that's another reason that you need a platform. You need automation to be able to help you kind of navigate all the rules at Facebook. Because let's think about it. They're in the business, much like Google was in the business of trying to find the best information to come up first. And you've got the largest entity on the planet and all that data that marketers can mine. The purpose of Facebook Messenger was to be able to create a one-on-one experience. And so they're walking a fine line between creating and keeping that relationship one-on-one between the two users and selling that access to that data to businesses just like ours. And so They're there. And this is just an example of something we put together for our customers. I'm happy to share this with anybody that wants to take a look at this. Let me see if I can go and show you just a few more pieces to it. We tell the story. We put it out there. Let me see if I can can't get it to shrink back down. We try to walk them through the basics. So we let them know what we're talking about. We're talking about just the breadth of the opportunity out there. Now this screen here is really neat because you start to kind of see how the tools work to do this. And so what you're looking at here is just a quick snapshot of how you can build a sequence, or also could be called a bot, to where, much like if you've ever done a flow chart and you're going through it's not a Venn diagram, it's when you do the Gantt chart and you're saying, okay, this happens here, and when this happens here, you go here. And so you go through all the
so starting off, we have the Facebook ad that's going to show up in the feed for the individual user. Right. And that's going to catch their attention. And that's going, when they click on that, that's going to lead them to this process, right?
Absolutely. So what Steve's referring to, he's correct. It goes back to some of those rules of how you engage with people. You can't just blanket everybody out there and say, okay, I'm gonna hit everybody and start engaging with them. They have to opt in. There has to be a mutual exchange. So the question then becomes, how do you do that? How do you do that effectively? How do you do that at scale? That's where the automation comes in. So as Steve was alluding to, if you've got, let's say you've already got several hundred to several thousand page likes and page follows, great. You're way ahead of the game. You can engage with these people right now. So you can connect to them because they've agreed to connect with you. Question is, how do you find new customers? How do you grow that? So you can do it several ways. One of which is to use a Facebook ad in a certain way. We have a system that we follow that we can go over with you if you want to contact us. But basically, you can go out, do that targeted ad, and you have to have an offer to say, hey, come back and connect to us. A lot of times a free video is great, giving away a free book, giving away a discount, anything that gets them to click and start that Facebook engagement. You can do that in an ad. One of the options is start a chat. And so they just click that button and it goes. Once we make that connection, that's when these sequences can kick in. And that's what Steve was talking about. So I'm going to show you here just a minute, a sequence that we put together and show you what it looks like. We also work with our clients to kind of give them, there's a bigger picture and there's a roadmap. And so the steps are involved getting warm audiences, getting those folks that are already interested in our niche or whatever. And then you want to go and mine for new leads. It's constantly going through this cycle. And then probably the most important of all is the retargeting, because if you know anything about funnels, the way they work, it's like a giant, if you're old enough, you remember the pachinko machine. Steve, did you ever had a pachinko machine?
I had one.
and for hours and hours, we just continue to put the silver balls in the pachinko machine and watch it go down and hit all the pins. And you were hoping it would end up in the right place. And, funnel marketing is a lot like that. And so you want to cast a wide net at the beginning, and then those things start going, and some people fall away. Some people get caught along the way. And you want to be able to get them to the point of purchase and connecting with your brand for the long term. And so when you do that, sometimes you need the tools to come back around and say, whether it's on your website and say, hey, look, I saw that you made it to our cart. You ever gotten an email that says, hey, just want to let you know, your stuff's still in your cart. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I just got distracted and I never finished. That's found money. If you're not doing that, you need to be doing that. Right. If it's one of those things where you started a chat and then you just bailed, a lot of things happen, something gets spilled, the baby cries, you lose internet connection, you lose power at your new house, anything can happen. And so you want to come back around and retarget those people. And it's a sequence and it builds upon itself. So let me just show you a little bit about how one of ours looks. And Steve, you feel free to jump in at any time if you see something. But this is my messenger page for a client here. And here's a sequence we put together. And so as Steve mentioned a minute ago, the first was the ad. If I were to take you to our Facebook ad manager, you'd see the ad we did. We probably put a video clip and we had a call to action and we had a button. Once they hit that button, boom, it opened up Messenger and it says, hey, let's get you that video that you were interested in. Please confirm you're for real by clicking I want it. Okay, so this is the part of the sequence that's critical because we've got to get their buy-in. We have to opt in. And so we want to, as you'll see, the sequence itself is just like you're chatting with someone. It's just like if you're going through a chat with somebody on Messenger, because that's literally what's happened. We've got code that is sending this particular sequence, and it runs 24/7. Which is what's
cool about that too is somebody doesn't have to type it; they just have to touch the button.
Absolutely,
it's so simple.
And one of the reasons that can be so huge is how often, as marketers, are we trying to collect data? And somebody fat fingers their phone number or they mistype their email and now it's no good. The beauty of doing this is we can pull from the data in Facebook, which they have to keep up because that's their profile. And so great point. We engaged them. They said, I want it. Boom, they're in. We're able to pull their name through a string field. Hey, Charles C., thanks for dropping by and grabbing the video. It even comes up, the good platforms will come up and show the little thinking icon, the little dots. It'll go simulating this is a real person. And then we get right into our pitch. And so you can say anything. You want to keep in mind good, solid sales, etiquette and rules and stuff. And you want to make it, very lighthearted. You can see here the interjection of GIF images, animated GIFs. This is basically how Steve talks on a normal day. He speaks in GIF animations, and it's very effective, by the way. So again, you can see how we're not just hitting them with facts and here's our price, and we literally try to engage with them. But at this point, we want to capture their email address. You want to build your database. One of the biggest reasons to do this is to help build your tribe, your group, your audience, your community. And so, I could recommend an initiative of doing sequences in Messenger just for the fact of getting good email addresses, because they're going to be people you're going to market to in your email drip marketing. So it pulls from the database, pulls the email and says, by the way, is this your email? We just want to make sure we have that. And then we'll send over whatever gift we promised or coupon or whatever. And then boom, we hit them with an animation. Again, this is something I built. I mean, you can go in and it's very easy interface. I'll show you here in just a second some of the screenshots from a platform we use and recommend. But
this one, the email actually, if it was in the profile, showed up automatically, and they just click it to confirm it, right?
Absolutely. So what you're seeing here in the blue bubble is type, and then this was provided to them, and it's not going to go any further until they tap this. Okay, so this is a place where it could break down. Something happens and they have to walk away. We've got a contingency in there for that, but you're absolutely right. It's pulling this up and it's sitting there, and all they have to do instead of having, oh crap, I got to sit here and type it out. I mean, it is for the complete lazy if you want to. There it is. Bam. Yeah, you've got it. You have something I want. I want it now. Make it easy for me. Boom. Make them laugh a little bit. Engage with them. Hey, man, I think you're going to love this video. And so we got some options here. In this case, I'm letting them link to the video, and it literally pops to the video. So when they click that, it's going to open up their YouTube or open up whatever you've sent it to in this case and run this video. So we had a clip of a video, and so we teased it, and then we said, hey, if you'll connect with us, just give us your email address or whatever our ask was, and you'll get the whole 10-minute video. And so you got to give good quality content. Okay. So that worked great. And so we were able to give them information that they felt was beneficial to them. And obviously we're selling our customers attributes. Then we've got this more free help. So then it starts to get more funnel-like, where you've got an upsell. So you can have upsells and downsells. And as that tree goes, if they say yes here, okay, great. If they say no, then, well, wait a minute, before we leave, would you be interested in this? And so what's cool about this is they click on this and they get even more information. We know that they've clicked it, and it says, hey, man, you've probably either got water damage or a project that needs help. Then we got a little Tom Cruise, help me help you. Again, the sky's the limit as to what you do here. And so we're continuing to engage with them. And so now, instead of validating the email, we're validating the phone number. That's that next step to the holy grail of being able to call them and communicate with them. So once again, this is the number that they've put into Facebook. So it pops up, they're able to tap it and go, yeah, man, I'm in. Wonderful. Great. Okay. So then we're in contact with them, whatever it was that we've asked to do. This was for a representative to follow, obviously, and they did that. Okay, great. In the actual sequence, we wrote into it, okay, now wait 20 hours or 18 hours and fire off another one automatically. We didn't have to do anything. We just said, go in there and do that. And then this pops up and says, hey, did somebody get a hold of you? It kind of keeps our staff on their toes, and it lets them know we're thinking about them. And immediately they say, yes, I'm good. In this case, yep, I'm good. And then we're like, hey, that's all right. Way to go. You just want to engage with them and go, we're glad. And it means something to them. Under the no, not yet, it's a funny animation about being ashamed or something like that. And then, hey, I'll make heads are going to roll. Somebody will get with you in the next 10 minutes or something. But you see this kind of engagement. Where else can you get this kind of engagement that's automated? I mean,
very specific, very targeted, very,
absolutely
exactly what they're looking for.
Absolutely. So before we dive into maybe some recommendations we have, is there anything I left off, Steve? I was kind of rattling through some of that and jumping around in kind of a casual demonstration. This was not intended to be a tutorial, but I just wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit and see what it actually looks like and how it actually works without getting, too far into the geeky part of it or something for a business owner.
No, I think that's fantastic. When you have a chance to see something like that, it gets you thinking to kind of go, how can I plug my business into this type of equation or my client's business? And so, it happens to be a customer of ours that's got the high-end flooring business. He also is into a few other things, and I'm looking at that for one of our other clients who happens to do standby generators, and they have done Facebook marketing before, but it was never really finely targeted. And that's where the success of Facebook is broken or works really well if you're targeting the right audience. You don't want to be running an ad selling a standby generator. It's going to be 10 grand or more for an install to teenagers. Obviously, you want to be targeting the right audience that's capable and is a homeowner. And so all those things, those criteria that come into place. But when you have a client who can see this, immediately what happens, they start plugging in their business into this and kind of going, how would that conversation go? And in this case, it was a genius approach, which was, the ad is basically, hey, talking about flooring of some sort, and you get their information and someone who has to deal with an insurance claim, and you're providing some value at no cost up front to go, hey, if you need some help, here's a breakdown. This pulls back, like you said, pull back the cover on exactly how the insurance company works, how you're going to interface with them, what it's going to take, and then offer some more help. And so the mentality of the consumer now is almost anything I want, I can get for free. I read a really good book a long time ago that changed my perception when I really started getting into SEO. Was at the time I was outside sales doing telecommunication sales, and I had moved from California, and I was in a fantastic market about an hour outside of Los Angeles, where I was brown breaking in this territory, and it was people were happy to see me. I was an alternative to the local large phone company, and they wanted options. When I moved over to Texas, what I found was that market had been hit and highly saturated. And so literally, if I walked in, there were times the customers say, please don't tell me you're from a telecom company. It had been beat up that much. I thought, there has to be a better way. And that's where all this innovation comes from. If someone says there has to be a better way. Absolutely. And in that case, so I found a book, and the guy said, until the salespeople understand that the lead list has changed hands, they'll continue to struggle. You need to set yourself up as an expert, as a great resource, and people will do 90% of the research they need online to get the information they want and they need an expert to walk them that last mile. What this customer has effectively done is set themselves up as an expert, providing very valuable, good information for free, and that builds trust. And you put it in their hands, and now they have that chance to go, let's take the next step. And that's so fantastic. And so when you start to, what I love for people who have a chance to see this is their wheels are already turning, going, how would this apply to my business? I do this. How would this actually work? And how can you lead that conversation? Because you as the business owner know how these conversations typically go, and you know where you want to lead them. And so in this case, if you have more questions, did someone reach out to you? That's when that conversation happens. But in the meantime, let's finish filtering so that, when I was in Dallas-Fort Worth and I figured out how to set myself up as an expert in that industry, I had 3 websites in the top 10 of Google, and I literally didn't cold call for 3 years because I had every single qualified customer coming to me that was already filtered, already ready to make a buying decision, and they just needed someone to help them do that last 10%, walk through that last mile with them. And I had people. That was the beginning of personal marketing. It was a little bit uncomfortable, but I had a website where I was a guru, and I made a funny video using a bunch of. You saw that before, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I want to resurrect that guy. What was his name? Was he like
it was Telephone Guru?
Leisure Suit Larry or something? What was it?
Telephone Guru?
Yeah, it was the Telephone Guru. That's right.
Yeah.
He was very obnoxious, but hard not. It was kind of like, waiting for a train wreck. Just you couldn't turn your eyes away from it. It was great.
Well, it was silly, but the thing is that was personal marketing. It was engaging, and people had a chance to look at that. I had people call me laughing, going, "Ha ha! Okay, obviously you know about phone systems. I need a phone system. What do I need? Tell me what I'm ready to buy." And I literally made phone system sales off of somebody watching a silly video, me showing up the top 10 of Google, and I had some fun with it. But literally, when people called me, it was a buying decision. Yeah. And that was fantastic because now I'm not wasting my time going door to door, knocking on businesses, trying to, create from scratch. I'm actually just converting, because most businesses that were in that industry didn't answer the phone live. And, so that's this next step of where everything has evolved, is that expectation is if you're not there. So anybody who's in the construction related business, it's very easy at a certain size that the boss is not only the main technician, he's the salesperson, he's the accountant, he's the janitor, he's doing literally everything. And one of our friends, that when I helped him transform his business, his voicemail was always full. You couldn't reach the guy. and he just couldn't get to all of his voicemails, and people would wait months for him because they trusted him and they loved him. They'd be using his family for generations for their electrical work. So it was it's so exciting to see this transformation where you can offload that initial conversation,
right,
and talk to the people who are extremely ready and qualified as a purchaser, and you have given them what they need, so they're in that buying mode by the time they get to you.
So if you're a small business owner or a mid-sized business owner of any kind, really, the problems are still the same. And if you find yourself relating to what Steve's talking about and feeling like you're just a one-armed paper hanger, and I don't want to die doing this till the last day. I want to be able to multiply myself and put systems and processes in place to be able to scale and grow. That's what we're about. ETW Creations, East to West Creations. Steve in the Philippines is passionate about business flow and efficient flow. I'm passionate about engaging with customers and communications, and we try to help our customers do that. And what we're going to do here in just a little, we're going to share with you a tool that we found to help you tackle this Facebook Messenger world. If you want to get your hands on those billions of exchanges that are going on every day, and even just tap into that and put your toe in the water without having to really spend much money at all. We're going to show you that here in just a second. So that's a tease to hang on just a little bit longer. And then all the information should be in the show notes. If Steve and I get around to putting it in there, we'll try to do that. But if not, just DM us anytime. ETW Creations. Before I forget about it, Steve, you brought up something that was interesting. The flow that we looked at was kind of the more traditional, hey, back and forth, and here's a funny picture, and we got this information. There are some other more sophisticated things you can do. You're not really limited. Well, at certain points, you're limited in how many things you can ask and do. But there are templates out there that will help. Any business can benefit from this. Absolutely. There are no businesses that cannot benefit. Unless they just don't want any leads, then it's not for you. But there's some ways where you can actually put menus in there. If it's a restaurant, if you can put parts. There's some ways that we can connect actually to some webhooks into databases. So you can do some fairly sophisticated things if you want to. You don't have to, but a lot of times that question comes up of, you mentioned a minute ago, one of the biggest banes of your existence in some of those businesses you're in, and that's just getting information from the customer, whether it's getting the basic information to be able to quote the job or just being able to find out, is this person even qualified? I talked to a lot of my customers and they just said, dude, if you could give me a tool that would separate the 20%, of the 80-20, that's all. I mean, the rest of the time I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my money. If I could just focus on this type of business, of all the things I do, if I can do more of this, help me find those people. And then when I find them, help me find the qualified people that actually can write the check and that I don't have to chase around the world to get paid. So that's just one example of being able to do that. Steve is kind of modest, but he's built a system where he's been working on kind of a DIY field guide to getting a site survey done. I mean, literally walking you step through step on an iPad and collecting that data into a database. So those are the types of tools we're talking about. And this is just one. And it happens to tap into probably the largest reservoir of willing and active buyers. There's some other things you can do with keywords. Once you get this connection to them and you start marketing that group, there's a way that you can put a keyword in so that when someone, as they're typing and says, oh, we just had a water pipe break, boom, it's going to fire something off. You ever wonder why you're sitting there, on your social media or messing around and you're like, dude, this is creepy. Last night we were just talking about this movie and now they're trying to upsell me, the commemorative cup. What is the deal?
Right.
That's what's happening.
Facebook's creeping on you.
It's absolutely creeping on you. So with that, I want to dive into a little bit of one of our strategic partners that we're working with right now. It's a company called Chatmatic. Again, there are several bots out there. It's still relatively new. After we did our due diligence, this one we felt like was probably the most user-friendly and sophisticated to get up and running quickly, not to mention the most affordable. This is one that we'll share in the show notes. There should be a link there to get you going for free. You need to get in. I want to say it gives you like 250 connections. You could do a lot of quality damage with 250 connections. You could pay for this 10 times over. So I would highly recommend you go ahead and sign up, download it, and try it out. It's something that you could play around with yourself on a night or a weekend if you're a kind of one-man shop, or if you've got somebody in your company that's even halfway tech savvy. If they can do Facebook, they can do this. That's the goal. We wanted to find somebody, we wanted to find a platform that allowed just the basic user. You didn't have to be a big coder or anything to put this together. So let me scroll on down. You probably saw some of the facts that we showed you, but here's an example of the back-end interface. I can't zoom in on it too good without blowing things up, but you basically connect to the Facebook if you're the admin for that site, and actually pulls all of those threads into your app here. And so you write these, it walks you through step by step, even gives you a little screen here that shows you, the phone as you write, the script, what it looks like. And so these are the messages when they come in. So you've got this database now of everybody that's responded, subscribed, which you can then export into any platform or CRM that you have. So it gives you the ability to communicate directly with the people that have responded to you and dump those into another system. And so again, it's real simple here. It's just a very drag and drop modular. You pick, I want to do a text, and now I want to do a picture, and it draws the entire flow chart for you. And so what you saw in that other picture initially was an example of what a flow looked like. And then of course you've got all your dashboard of responses and being able to communicate who's bailed and whatnot. So I would highly recommend Chatmatic for a couple of reasons. I still feel like it is probably the best, most user-friendly bot system out there. They're about to launch the Instagram one, which will be part of the same suite. My understanding is it'll all be part of that same subscription if you decide to upgrade and get, it's just, you don't get any less functionality in this case. You just get the ability to market more to more people. And so, again, it's chatmatic.com. There'll be a link there that you can check it out. There's all sorts of demos online. And again, I would say go ahead and take the trial and get signed up. And I want to talk just a little bit about one of the founding people behind this. If you've done any research out there on some of these platforms, usually you get kind of the charismatic millennial who's, conquered the world and doing crazy things. If you've done ClickFunnels or if you've done any of these platforms out there that we've talked about in the past. And when I first turned on to Chatmatic, they had a very charismatic young leader that I thought, I don't know, I was kind of skeptical about it. But I started watching the videos, and he spoke with a maturity that was beyond his age, quite frankly. And I think he's passionate about the right things. I think he's in it for the long haul. And I actually found, Steve, kind of spring this on you at the last minute, but I found a clip that I had grabbed. If you don't mind, I'm going to try to play it. I'd like to just share this with our audience because I think number one, they're going to get something from it as a marketer and as a business person. I think it's going to help. It's one of those kind of slap you upside the head statements, but it also gives you a little glimpse about this guy. And if you are thinking about getting into this and trying it out, his name's Travis Stevenson. I just want to show this clip. It's a couple of minutes. And then when it's over, I thought we might break it down just a little bit, talk about it, and then we can start wrapping things up. Does that work for you?
Absolutely.
All right. By the way, sidebar, we've been using StreamYard. The friends over at StreamYard have been really good to us, and we're doing our broadcast now on StreamYard. I highly recommend you consider that if you're doing any kind of broadcasting or interviewing and stuff like that. But they just added this feature where you can pull in, you actually can upload, either you can run it off your system or you can upload it to the cloud, and it helps take the resources off your machine. And so it's my first time to try it. So if it blows up, it's not StreamYard's fault, okay? Seriously, we'll just give it a try, okay?
Let's say you
Sounds good.
Let's say you want to be an affiliate for Groove, or let's say you want to sell your own product. To me, it doesn't matter what you want to sell. You need people to sell to. And I want to make sure that we all understand this. Everybody in the marketing world, for some reason, has it backwards on how to best start your online business. Most people think that you need the business assets first. You need the website. You need the sales page. You need the membership area. You need, this free thing. You need this. I'm here to tell you that that is opposite, that is wrong, that is incorrect, and it will slow you down. And it's one of the issues that I know will come up is, okay, Travis, I've got a lot of tools here. What do I use? What's my primary? Where do I start? How do I get this going? Well, instead of building the assets, right? Instead of building the assets, what if we went the other way and we built the people that we're going to sell to first? Business builder number one builds all this stuff, spends a lot of money and probably several months building the website, finding the products, getting everything to look great, and then comes out in the market and is like, hey guys, buy my thing. Then business builder number two, and this is the kind that I hope you guys will become after today. Business builder number two says, well, when I get all that stuff done, I'm still going to need people, right? So what if I start building relationships with people now when I don't have anything to sell to them? What if I can start introducing the idea that I will have something to sell to them, to these people, so that when it comes out, they want to buy it? Of course, the basis of my high ticket affiliate course is build audience first. Screw the products, because you can always find another product. Right? The offer can be changed quickly, and oftentimes is. The offer doesn't matter. One thing that I want you guys to understand is information, by and large, is free. I'm here doing these trainings free. Information, some of the best information, free. So stop trying to, and that's not to say that sequential information isn't valuable. I think that's another thing. There's so much information that sequencing it can be worth it. Actually, it's how Airbnb operates. They're a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar company because they take all of the listings that are available, aka information, and they bundle them. They make it easy, one spot. But that's the method that we're all taught to do, is like shotgun test these products or shotgun test our offer. Just put it out and the world will come to you. But I challenge you to think about it this way. What if instead you built the audience, no product yet, and then you met with this audience frequently? And the one problem that most of you guys are going to have, and that I don't think that, while Michael articulated on some great points earlier, Michael Long and Donna, they articulated on some great points. One thing that I think a lot of you may have noticed was overlooked is, like, Michael has a massive audience. He has a great audience of good tribe, like a good tribe. If he said, everybody go out right now and buy a glass of coconut water, some of his tribe would do it because they listen to him. And there's somebody out there, I don't know who it is, who has a theory of something called 1,000 true fans. And if you can build 1,000 true fans, you'll never have to work another day in your life. And I agree with that, because 1,000 true fans, people who really like you as an individual, and follow your brand and follow what you do, they'll buy whatever you sell every month. Right? They'll buy whatever you sell consistently. You have another shirt next month, they'll buy it. You have a product in 3 months, some of them will buy it. You have, you're doing a live event, people will buy tickets. I am where I am today because I have a tribe.
I wanted to share that. That's Travis Stevenson, one of the main drivers behind Chatmatic, who we want you guys to check out if you want to get into Facebook messaging. And but I'll also share that with you because there was a lot in there. From a philosophy standpoint,
right? And
it made me think. It recharged my engines in some areas. It helped me throw out some bad thinking, and I think it really encapsulates where we are right now in terms of an electronic marketplace and the platform of digital marketing and being able to build audiences. I'm hoping that there are people out there listening to this video that are thinking about their business through that lens and how they may approach things differently. I'm hoping that there are wannabe business owners who are about to step out and who are fearful that they're going to take the wrong step. Oh my gosh, I got to have it right in the right order, and I got to do exactly. That's why so often we look for somebody to just copy what they did because we're afraid. And there's nothing wrong with having great mentors, and we hope to mentor people. But I just, it was very refreshing to simplify things and say, you know what, he's been really getting me to think about that when you talk about information being free. And you mentioned something a minute ago, Steve. You were talking about, you become an expert on something, or you become very specialized, and then that's very valuable. I don't think that he's saying that you give all that away per se, but I think if you were to step back and think about how much information is free out there right now, there's almost nothing you can't find out there. We like to feel like we're not replaceable, but we're replaceable. The question is at what cost and at what inconvenience? And so I think a lot of things that we're going to do and that we're trying to do with East to West is to get that information to you and get it to you in a sequenced manner, get it to you in a usable manner. And I think that really resonated with me, what he was talking about. And that is there's so much out there that you can take and leverage and use. One example, we talked last week, I think, about private label products. A wealth of information about, a wealth of documentation. Go out there and get some of that free stuff, repackage it, put it out there and say, hey, I got a free 70-page book you can download. I did that. We went and found we found some documentation on a subject. We put it out there. We ran an ad. We did the sequence. We were getting 5 a day. I mean, just on a really small scale. So that's 5 people that were passionate about what we were doing that we now have the ability to upsell and market to them. Went out and grab free stuff. So I think you're seeing a lot more of that mentality that says, how can I engage with my audience so that I've got their ear for when I need to sell to them? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. There's so much in that clip. I know some of that's resonating with you, but for me, it really made me think a lot about how I've been on the front end of things. I've been on the make it pretty. If you build it, they will come. And I think we got a lot of people listening to this that says, I've built it and they didn't come. I built it again and they didn't come. And I built it a third time. And what I have is the most incredible thing in the world. Trust me, because I built it, but nobody seems to want it. And I'm about ready to give up. So what would you say to them?
I would say, when you talk about McDonald's, right? You're like, is McDonald's the most amazing hamburger out there? It's not, right? But they sell more hamburgers than anybody. You made me think that every single search that we do, every single YouTube session we have, looking for information is actually leading to a buying decision. We're out there looking for information because we're interested in something and we're eventually going to make a purchase. And so when he's talking about making a tribe or having people that value your input, we can watch literally dozens of hours of YouTube videos of people giving their opinion on a topic. At some point, you have to narrow down who you're going to be listening to and go, you know what? I like these guys. I trust these guys. If they say it's this, I believe that. I'm going to go with them and I'm going to save myself 11 hours and I'll give an hour here. And I have a guy that I watch related to some stock related stuff right now. I listen to his stuff every day. I watch his videos and sometimes he's putting out multiple a day, giving a pulse of what's going on. There's a lot of guys out there giving their opinion. And I save some of them. I subscribe to channels. But this particular guy, he's been dead on with some of his things. I very much value his input. And with this, with Chatmatic and the Facebook Messenger marketing, you have the ability to do the same thing. You have people who are looking for information, and they're going to find something to say, you know what, I'm going to be in the mode of making a purchase, but I'm narrowing it down. I'm looking for that professional. I'm looking for that expert to walk me that last mile. And that's the ability to put yourself out there and communicate in a way that makes it very easy for the customer. Makes it easier for them to communicate with you than all the other guys. Hey, these guys made it easy. They gave me valuable information. I trust them. I have a buying decision that's coming up for sure. And if I've got A, B, C, and D, I like these guys. We purchase from people that we like and that we trust. That's one of the things you learn in sales. And so for every business owner that's out there, you're going to develop that relationship with your clients sight unseen if they like you and they trust you. Right. And so our goal is we have some things down the road that we're coming with that we're super excited about. But the reality is we have a lot of information to share that we're going to be willing to give for absolutely free. And later, if our tribe likes the information we have, they believe in what we're doing, and they feel like there's a level of trust, we will have earned the right to say, hey, we've got something we think you should consider. And with full confidence, they'll be able to move in that direction and take full advantage of it. And that's I think that's the goal with every business, is to have a lifetime customer. Some people just want love them and leave them. We've never been like that. We want that lifetime customer that we can be really proud about, and those guys would brag about us in the marketplace. And if they see us at the grocery store, that we're not doing this, because we did business the right way, and that's
Right.
Those are the customers that we want, and we want like-minded people that do the exact same thing. So this is a fantastic. This is the evolution of communication in business for certain niches. Now, if I'm in the oil and gas industry doing commercial stuff, that's not my niche. Isn't going to be on Facebook necessarily. But for a lot of businesses, more and more, the consumers, the B2C type of businesses, they're going to effectively reach their customers using this as one of the mediums they reach people. Like you said, it doesn't negate all the other stuff. Literally every single medium has value if there's an ROI. So for the people that still get some results off of email, that it pays for itself and more, keep using it. If Yellow Page advertising, online Yellow Page works for you, by all means use it. It's whatever's going to work for you. If it's YouTube ads, if it's Google AdWords, this is a really cool tool. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to spend Facebook ad money, this is almost a must. It's almost a no-brainer at this point that you need to add this to the equation, because you will be able to really crank up your remarketing, get a better bang for your buck, and you'll have a better close ratio for sure.
So the purpose of this video is to not really get down in the weeds and give you prices and demo and tutorials. That's for other people to do. We try to cater this to business decision makers, people that are trying to figure out which direction to turn. Where do I put those valuable resources? Do I spend time doing that? There's plenty of stuff out there. In this case, Chatmatic has a ton of videos out there. If you Google Travis Stevenson, you'll find a bunch of his stuff out there. And those are some of the criteria before we get behind any of these products and endorse them. Are they going to support their product? Are they going to give you enough tools to make it easy to actually start using it and turn a return quickly? So that's a given. If there's anything outside of that realm, we will flag it immediately and go, okay, this is a high dollar purchase and this is only for certain people. But that's just not where we're coming from. So please tell somebody about East to West Cast and East to West Creations. Please share this liberally. We would
share, subscribe.
No. Yes. So I think we want to start getting to where we're getting questions from our group, our community. We want to hear from you. We want to find out other things you want us to go look into and give you feedback on. We want to start pouring resources your way. So we're just getting started. So we appreciate anybody and everybody that's listening. Give us a like, give us a forward. I think we've gone long enough now, Steve. We probably ought to wrap it up. We'll save some of our weekly recommends. We'll maybe do a 2 for next week or something. How about that? Is that a deal?
That's like, let's just do one next week.
Let's skip a week next week. Any last thoughts before we go?
Be safe out there. You got some freezing weather. It's supposed to get pretty crazy. Yeah, so hopefully,
nasty weekend. So y'all stay safe and be good. And like I said, look us up, ETW Creations online. We will be here, Lord willing, next week. Not sure exactly what we're going to cover. It'll be a mystery. You'll have to find out. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch you next week.